hypnosis can change your life for the better. It can do it quickly and it can have lasting effects. So this video is about how regression hypnosis works and why it works. All right, let's maybe start off by defining what regression hypnosis is. So with hypnosis, you are regressed into a more focused state of mind where communication with your subconscious mind can be done directly. So it goes past all the chatter of the conscious mind. If you think about it, there are always thoughts flowing through your conscious mind. And it's pretty much a recycling of the same thoughts over and over and over. And the thoughts that we are consciously thinking are a good indicator of what is actually truthfully or foundationally rather happening in your subconscious mind. What is the script that the subconscious mind is consistently reading out? What are your foundational beliefs about life and about yourself? And people will say, wow, why do I need to know that? Sounds like some, woo-hoo sort of new age things. Well, first of all, there is nothing new age about regression hypnosis because it has been around for thousands of years. Literally thousands of years. And, it dates back all the way to the ancient Greeks. So even before, the power of ancient Egypt came to be, they kind of got it from the ancient Greeks, but we don't really know for a fact that it actually goes back only that far. That's only as far as the records go. It might be even older than that. All right. So there's nothing new about it. And now I'm gonna make a couple of statements, and I don't want you to take this in the wrong way, because I am not trying to debunk anybody here. I don't believe in that. I am just wanting to give you clear honesty about some of the things that are going around when it comes to regression hypnosis these days, because in order to understand why and how regression hypnosis really, really works, you kind of need a little bit of fact details, okay? So first of all, welcome to the video. My name is Adrian Nelson. I'm a regression hypnosis practitioner, and I can tell you for a fact it is one of the most powerful practices for profound change, to unlock abundance, and for lasting change, and not just to have the good things coming into your life, but to have a sense of fulfillment in your life and purpose in your life. Because here's a simple truth: using hypnosis, understanding how to focus the mind, you can manifest literal miracles out of thin air, because nothing really exists in any case. This is a simulation, So if you understand how to focus your mind and you can directly speak to your subconscious mind, you can literally draw miracles into your life, and it's really not that hard. I promise you. It's so okay. Well, let me rephrase that. It can be a little bit hard, or challenging rather, to sort of like, I can almost say, bend your mind around some concepts, because it does go against a lot of generational teaching that we've had for many, many years. So that in itself can be a challenge. But once you kind of grasp this, and this is the thing, you don't even have to be a full out blown believer. You just have to be willing to be willing. And then changes can very powerfully and very lastingly and very dynamically and very easily start to come into your life. Okay? Now, you may have seen that, there are some practices, for example, out there where, somebody sells a hypnosis modality and they will say, I founded this and this is the best ever. And, if you follow this sort of modality versus that modality, this is where the magic lies. That is not where the magic. That is all just a whole lot of shit. Okay? Honestly, it is. Now, first of all, not to discredit anybody for the incredible work that they do, okay? But I sometimes see that people advertise, a certain new modality of, sort of like hypnosis that they learn, and they're like, this is the best thing ever, and nothing else compares to this. Pretty much different strokes for different folks, And it is more about what the practitioner aligns with and what the practitioner really, I would say, become passionate about and perfect and understand. That is more about it. So it doesn't mean that any of these, sort of newer modalities that they are bad and stuff like that, or they're not sort of like a real deal. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Because there's some amazing things that are going around. And, to maybe give you some examples, and again, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes here. These people that I'm naming and the modalities that I'm naming, I have got the greatest respect for them, for the contribution that they're making towards the world, for the awareness that they bring, for the knowledge that they share. I've got all the respect in the world for them, but also I just want you to be clear about things. And so let's, for example, speak about QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, founded by Dolores Cannon. So the story that was really pretty much sold by Dolores Cannon, who was a clinical psychologist who has done amazing work to create awareness globally about the power of regression hypnosis, what it can do for you, how connected we are, what we're part of. But one of the biggest sellers in that was really that, Dolores has found this powerful technique that nobody has ever found before. And, you can really go to these depths, and it's also amazing. And, she speaks a lot about this somnamblistic state, which is a very, very deep state of consciousness that is accessed. And, you can't go to this level and that level if you don't go to this level. Not really fully true. Because first thing is that a lot of times when you take somebody to the somnambulistic state, now the thing to remember is that you can become so deeply relaxed in the hypnotic state that you can hear the person asking you questions, but you just decide, you know what, I'm not going to answer them. So technically speaking, when when somebody is placed in a hypnotic state, so that can be like a long induction. Induction is the talks and the suggestions and the drums and the humming sound or whatever people uses to get you into the hypnotic state. So there's the induction, which is where you typically begin to feel a bit calmer, and then there's the deepener, where you are taken deeper into that state. So the induction is a state where you'll relax, and if nothing happens, you'll just come back again. Okay? And this is more often than not the state that people sort of take you to when they do sort of like a guided meditation. Now again, not meaning to discredit anything at all, but there are too many people out there that are just guided by spirit, that do all these guided meditations that they are guided by spirit to do. They don't really have an understanding of what they are doing, and they can actually cause, the intentions might be good, but no matter how good your intentions are, when you come from a lack of knowledge, they can actually cause more bad than good. And in my personal experience, that is often sort of like the jam in the fly when it comes to some very new agey, very woo-hoo sort of, guided spiritual practices and things like that. And that is why I've got so much respect for people, for example, like Colette Baron-Reid, that, does a lot of guided work in sessions and stuff in her work, but she knows what she's talking about. She understands. She's got the fundamental knowledge. So when it comes to hypnosis, when it comes to guided sessions, guided meditations, all of those type of things, you want to get it from someone that understands how that works, that have got a more scientific understanding of how the human mind, the psyche, the brain works. Because contrary to popular belief, even though hypnosis can be used for a lot of spiritually focused work, hypnosis is essentially a more scientific practice. You want to understand what's going on. You literally want to get it. If you don't get it, you shouldn't be practicing it. Okay? So amazing work, as for example, Dolores Cannon has done, in her practices. It is not really the creme de la creme that everybody makes it out to be, that Dolores herself made it out to be. Now again, Dolores has done fantastic work for the spiritual community, for life, for human consciousness. I believe that she has incarnated into this planet to serve humanity as divinely as she did. I mean, really. greatest respect for the woman. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, it's hypnosis is not this amazing thing that she found. It has been around for thousands of years. She might have perfected it in a certain way, which is incredible, but not really found it. Then you also get something which is so fantastic, which is RTT, Rapid Transformation Therapy, that has been founded and perfected by Marissa Peers. Now, Marissa Peers is, I mean, bow down to the room, but she is amazing. She is amazing. And she has obviously, like many other people, you know, she has really put together modalities that can really help you with rapid transformation, which is really rapid hypnosis technique. You know, it's just a different name and obviously registered underneath that. But I think what I'm just trying to say to you here, and what I'm trying to bring home, and I want you to hear me from a point of gaining understanding and not judgment, because I'm not judging here. You know, QHHT, fantastic. RTT by Marissa Peers, fantastic. You know, and where QHHT is a more longer sort of session, you know, RTT or rapid hypnosis technique, which it really is, it's the faster approach. But these things have been around, again, for thousands of years. All right. And the difference between the two, and I practice both, is I find that for people that are sort of like, say, maybe more new and they want to do sort of deeper healing, you know, I have where I sort of offer you 3 rapid hypnosis sessions, you know, a 3-session sort of offer, which is really, really fantastic, because you also don't want to jump too much, too fast onto a mind, okay? Because then it rejects it and it actually builds a higher wall. And this is where the problem often comes in with guided meditations from people who have no idea what they're talking about, but they're guided by spirit. Okay, they're guided by spirit. This is where the danger comes in, because you can let certain ideas come into someone's mind that is not in complete congruence with the deeper subconscious truth of who they are. And then the subconscious rejects that, and that is experienced as sadness and the just terrible things happening in your life. Okay? That is just the blatant truth. All right? Intention is good. Intention backed by knowledge is so much better. Okay? And then obviously if you want to do like a deeper dive and you maybe want to go into some past lives or even visit different dimensions, then, you know, something like a QHHT approach is great. Someone who does something so amazing, who I've got so much respect for, and because she's a Leo, Leo's all about how can I, you know, legitimately just serve, is Candace Crowe-Goldman, who is the founder of Beyond Quantum Healing, BQH for short. But now here's the thing about Candace Crowe-Goldman. She's been working with Dolores Cannon for many, many years, you know. And she has brought something about that I love so much, is about how can we get these beautiful, amazing benefits of hypnosis to, you know, to benefit more people. You know, how can we make the circle bigger? So whereas a lot of practices, not just QHHT, but where a lot of practices, even with clinical hypnotherapy, you know, you're only allowed to do it like this, and you can't do it like this, and you can't do it online, and you shouldn't touch a person, you can't this, and you can't that, and you can't that, and you shouldn't. Where as a practitioner, you know, you begin to almost like semi-shit yourself, because what if I do something wrong? What I love about Candace Crowe-Goldman is she gives you the understanding. And to put this into perspective, it's like when I was in high school, for example, I had one of these maths teachers that literally had short man syndrome, and it was, you know, all about, you know, some people just get it and some people don't get it, and he had all these very derogatory sort of analogies that he used to make. And so I was a music student at the time, and when you study music, it's pretty much about maths actually, because mathematics is a language. You know, it's and so I was in this class, and he would be like, well, this is just how you do it. And I'd be like, why? Like, well, this is just how you do it. And if you don't do this, and, you know, apparently if you're good at math, you'll become like, but remember, I'm like almost 42 at the moment. So this was like way back in the late 1990s, you know. You either get it, and if you get it, great. And if you don't get it, well, you doomed to fail type of thing. And so I just decided, screw this, because I'm a music student and music has got a lot of work in it in any case. And also, music in itself is a very mathematical thing, actually. It's almost like this flow between the soul and everything else. It's quite amazing. But anyway, so fast forward a couple of years later, My younger sister, who is a complete natural genius, actually so am I, we all are, but I was sort of like, why should I waste my natural, because I've got quite a high IQ. I just couldn't be bothered. Now, I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't be bothered about school, but I was just like, this crap seems, I don't know where my life's going to go, but it's not going to be about this. So I really couldn't be bothered. I would, people are studying for these end results and things, and I'm sitting here reading a book and wanting to understand how to balance a house sort of through like architecture and the elements. And I was always very interested with those things, always been quite, into those type of things. But then so fast forward a couple of years, and my sister then, who's a school teacher, and she's so amazing at it, explains to me sort of like almost like what mathematics is saying, because it's a language. I'm like, oh, that's quite simple. So why do you have to, go through years and years and years in school to go through all this type of things? Because when you understand what it says, then it's so simple. You know what I mean? Anyway, so that is pretty much almost like with hypnosis as well. It's not about the problem that you have, it's why do you have the problem. So Candace Crowe-Goldman with BQH, she explains to you the concepts. So you get to grasp the concepts. And then you can utilize it in anything, because hypnosis is not about sleep. It's not about, yes, you go to a session, you normally relax and, you unwind. But hypnosis is about getting past the conscious mind into the subconscious mind where your truth lies. And if you get this, so why is this person having this problem? Why is this person having this concern? What is driving it? What is the deeper truth? What is the unhealed trauma that is there? And, is it something that has been taking place in this lifetime? And this is where the past life phenomena comes in. Or is it an inherited pattern? Because as human beings, we are copies of other people, So, what is the reason why you're having this? What is in your pathology? What is the deeper belief that you were born with? Okay? And a good thing to look into that, which is something that I'm quite passionate about, is epigenetics. So why are you who you are? Why do you believe what you believe? What are the ideas? What are the values? What are the thought patterns about your worth and your value and about life and all of those things that you have been born with? So like a mobile device that you get and it's delivered to you by something like Amazon, it arrives pre-programmed with software pre-installed. And human beings are pretty much like that. As obviously with any sort of like, mobile device, you can go through life, you can uninstall certain things, you can reinstall certain things, you can download certain things, you can use it for different stuff, but at the foundational level of it, what is the operational system that is active? And that is really what hypnosis is about. Because the experience of life that we have is the effect of a deeper subconscious cause. And more often than not, way more often than like 9% in the world, the problems that you have are really because of the belief system that you are born with. And even though, from inception to about the age of 6.5, 7 years old, children, whatever they're surrounded with, they just accept it as truth, and that builds your experience of life. It is really pre-existing core beliefs within yourself, and there's a wide myriad of it, that what is it that's being stimulated? And that by no means is the only thing that can be stimulated, because as human beings, we only use about 2% of our DNA potential. So when you can speak to the mind and says, okay, so this person's having this problem and that problem, why is it that they're having it? The mind will tell you, And again, people have this idea that when you have a hypnosis session, that you have to be deep in trance and gone like a light. Not really required. This is what hypnosis is. It is about reaching the subconscious mind, understanding the driving force behind the experience of life, why it is there, releasing that, and then accepting a better serving thought and idea. That's it. And the amazing thing about that is that you can actually do it in a widely wakeful state. When you actually go to the airport, if you ever notice, that you technically walk in little zigzag circles, like a little snaky pattern at the airport. and you don't even think about it. You don't even realize it. Whereas if you're in a straight line, you're going to start getting annoyed. But they're very clever about it. Like, for example, you maybe walk down like a downcline and there's like a carpet, so it sort of like makes your legs a little tired. And then when you just kind of feel like, oh, then you either, see the security point, or you see out through a glass window to the plane that you're heading, all those sort of things. And it's ways of really, sort of like speaking subconsciously to the mind, because it's not just through words either. All right. Marketing has been using that for years. For example, you've been using the same washing powder for years. You get an advert coming around with with a catchy sort of jingle, best washing powder now, something like that, That's why jingle writers used to get so much money back in the day. They use the right lightning, they use the right sort of vibrational tones, so maybe like a 342 hertz, which is very subliminal, so you don't really hear it. It reminds you of when you were in your mother's womb, and you felt safe. So because it felt safe, your subconscious mind says, yes, this is something safe to take on. Poops, all of a sudden you use a different washing powder, and you don't even know why. It's that simple, So knowledge can be used very much to your benefit, but also to your detriment. Now, I'm not going to name any names. Those people that know me personally, there's a couple of people that I'm referring to. But if you look at some of the music icons, no, not all of them, but if you look at some of the very big music icons of the past, whose life often sort of ended a little tragically, if you understand how sound and vibration and movement and stuff like that can be used, you can actually see why those people were so famous. And you get some people with amazing voices, you get some people with really crap voices, and they still become amazingly successful, and we don't actually understand why. It's because they tap into your deeper subconscious mind. And that is why it is just a plain honest truth that the music industry itself, it is very, very dark. And there are many of these very iconic sort of modern day artists who are straight out hypnotizing you. You look at a show, the way it starts, the way they use the light, the way they use the sound. By the time the artists come on stage, you are like, oh my Lord, they must be sent from heaven. You have been programmed into believing that, and you don't even realize that. So we are definitely in a time where it's time to wake up to that as well. And you just want to be aware of that. And this is a time more than ever where you want to educate yourself on the truth so that you can get out of the mind control. All right. And the wonderful thing with hypnosis is that every time you go into trance, you go deeper. And it automatically, now this is if you are working with someone that knows what they are doing. I'm not talking about some fly-by-night, I'm just led by spirit. And it sort of like reminds me of, again, really not judgment, but just the truth. It reminds me of people that are sort of like oracle card readers only, that have got no knowledge of tarot at all. They don't understand where it comes from. They don't understand the language that it speaks, because again, tarot is a language, and it's a very broad language, So it carries mathematical knowledge, astrological knowledge, numerological knowledge, lots and lots of knowledge. And the more you learn about things like the Kabbalah and the Kabbalion and stuff like that, it's like your mind just opens more and more and more, and that is really, really tarot. But then you get people that will be like, you know what? I don't really know anything about tarot. I've never really learned tarot. I just pick up a deck of cards and I just learn them intuitively and I understand them fully. Now, there's nothing essentially wrong with that. But it goes a lot deeper than that. And when people sometimes put out statements like, you know what, oracle cards and tarot is exactly the same. No, they're not. They are so not. And in the same way, guided spirit by source, by, just a guided spirit or guided energy, I feel so inspired by source to do things, versus actual understanding, not the same thing. I personally steer very clear of those people that don't know what they're doing and they're just led by spirit, because what we sometimes interpret as spirit can also be your ego. I remember when I first got into regression hypnosis, and in South Africa it was still, in a more spiritual way. It was a more well, it was obviously known, but it's not so like full blown. Now I'm talking about 3 years ago, you know. So I would make a lot of videos, me personally, you know, I would make videos that I mean to help people with because I do know what I'm doing, but I also wanted to often legitimize myself through the material that I made. You know, to say to people, but I know what I'm doing, you should come to me because I know what I'm doing. And we all fall for that trap sometimes. So I don't want to give you the impression that, you know, I'm this person that has never made mistakes or stuff like that. We all learn as we go along, you know. But so let's think of it like this. I want to give you an example. So I just want to give you an example of how a subconscious pattern can make you live a life that is not fulfilling and how hypnosis can help you get over that. So let's imagine that growing up, you maybe didn't have a good relationship with your parents, let's say with your father, you know, because a child sees the father or the father figure as the pillar of strength, you know, and maybe the mother figure more as the emotional sort of like platform. So let's say that somehow your parents didn't give you what you as a child felt that you needed. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't care, because, you know, as an adult, you actually realize that, I mean, I'm like almost 42, and you realize that your parents didn't have it so all together either. And they may have had it more tough than you actually have it. So it's not so much that they didn't care and they didn't love you. It just might mean that they didn't have that understanding, and people can't give what they don't have. But anyway, so you had a bad childhood. And so the deeper foundational understanding in the subconscious mind, because the subconscious simply takes everything very literally, is that you can't trust sort of like, you know, pillars of strength. And then that goes into your boss and into maybe somebody getting a promotion over you. And you can't trust sort of like figures of emotional stability. And then you start having challenges with upkeeping friendships, maybe trusting that life works out for you, upkeeping relationships. And it all comes from that idea that you can't trust love. You can't trust sort of like almost like figures and pillars of strength, so to speak. And it's basically a trauma wound that is being created. So whenever then in life you start going into an experience where you start having success in life, you sabotage that because your subconscious mind says to you that is not safe. All right. So another thing that sometimes holds people back is that, and I realized this when I started doing my hypnosis sessions, because I would say to the, you know, I would be open to the mind to go to where the initiating core of this pattern is, what it people have. And then so sometimes people would say like, oh, you know, I didn't really go into a past life, you know, I just went to earlier part in my childhood. But then I said, okay, give it a couple of weeks, and a couple of weeks later you're doing better. Okay? Because maybe the bulk of your initiating core wasn't in a past life, maybe it was in this lifetime. Okay? So don't fall for the idea that if you didn't go to a past life, or you didn't go to other dimensions, or you didn't have that gone like a light experience, that you didn't have a real session. Funny enough, actually, you know, when you typically go for a clinical hypnotherapy session, you know, like those 1 hour type of sessions, people may actually speak to you for say maybe 40 minutes, and then they just do like a 10-minute induction, because a lot of times people don't believe that, you know, that they had actual hypnotherapy unless they weren't sort of put into trance. And there is often a lot where these quicker sort of hypnosis sessions happen, because somebody can be quite gently and lengthily, you know, sort of like be sort of like, you know, led into trance, but it can literally quite effectively be done within under a minute as well. And both are equally, well, yeah, both have their sort of like benefits, you know. And so you can really, as a practitioner, pick up where people's patterns are lying when you listen with no judgment and you're not there with your ego. And then you can give them certain ideas, and they can make profound changes and never be in the corner like a light state. All right? Remember, hypnosis is not sleep. People have that idea that it's sleep. It's not sleep. Okay? And also, when you can find out why you have certain experiences, because when you have maybe from a young age had that experience that you sort of can't, now you don't consciously think of this is subconsciously, you know, but you believe that you can't, for example, trust love, you can't trust your parents, then what that leads to is like the stress hormone cortisol. There is, it's sort of like chronically released into your system. So you are always in that fight or flight mode. And then you start having the experiences that nothing works out for you. No matter where you go, nothing works out. No matter how hard you try, nothing works out. Wherever you go, there's always somebody who's got a problem with you, who's bullying you, people win over you. And we feel that it's so unfair. So if you can if you can, and this can happen in one session, by the way, and this is what actually make Marissa Pierce's, RTT, rapid transformation therapy so powerful, because when you can go straight to the core, and sort of like with rapid hypnosis, that's more how it goes. You kind of go right more to the core. It's more directional, whereas sort of like the more, let's call it the spiritual sessions, like the QHHCs and the BQH and those, they take a more relaxed approach, and they kind of more see what the mind presents to them. But both are equally powerful. And I will actually say to you that, in order to optimally serve and to really become incredibly good at what you do, you want to actually understand both. You understand how rapid hypnosis transformation works, and you want to understand how the more traditional approach works. And the more you understand, the more you will see that there are benefits in both. And even if you only practice one modality, when you bring both into it, that's when it becomes really, really powerful. Okay. So when you can sort of help somebody to go from that point where you can literally say to the subconscious mind, because the thing to remember with the subconscious mind, it doesn't have a concept of time at all. So if something happens to you when you are 5, and at no point in time has it been communicated to the mind that this is no longer happening to you, it doesn't have to protect you against it, it's going to try to consistently protect you against it. And this is a lot of times where our self-sabotage comes in, and you dream of being a dancer all your life, but you don't believe you're worthy of it, so you press through all the challenges, bird flu, whatever, and then just the night before the show you break your ankle, for example. It's actually your mind trying to protect you against what it believes to be a threat, because you believe success is something that's threatening to you. All right? So it's about talking to the subconscious mind and saying to it, we can let this go now, we can do something different. It's very, very powerful. It's really, really powerful. And I find that whether whether it's an online session or personal session, I personally prefer in-person sessions more, just because I like to connect with people one-on-one. But you can have incredible success in person, online. It is more about understanding what everything is about. And I will say, work with someone that you have got a real sense of faith and trust with. Because here's the thing about hypnosis, if you work with someone that you don't really trust, it's not going to work in any case. Because your mind's going to be like, yep, nope, bad. It's going to be almost like that. All right. What else did I want to say to you? Probably make another video at another time, but I think that is the bulk of things that I wanted to share with you for what hypnosis is, why it works, and it's really effective. I mean, something that's been around for thousands of years, it's really effective. It can really help to change your life in amazing ways. Another thing though, there is this below the belt selling sometimes, that you have one session, you'll never have problems in your life ever again. Change always takes a while, and it usually goes along with challenges. So it's not really like hypnotherapy take your challenges away. It rather gives you the tools to be able to work through the challenges in life in a way that positively propels you forward, and that doesn't sort of like plonk you down. So whereas you got a problem before, that problem would completely ruin you and destroy you, now the same problem comes around, but you understand it, you're in a different frame of mind literally to deal with it. So instead of plonking you down, it can positively propel you forward. And that is really where the benefits of regression hypnosis comes in, because you literally change on the inside. This is something that I want to add to you. So the mind is always listening. And you know, the idea, I got quite a beautiful example on a video earlier on. So if you go to a very busy party, you know, it's very noisy and whatever, when somebody says your name, you pick it up. And let's imagine you're at a party where, say, maybe there's 3 Adrians. If somebody, and this is how amazing the mind is, this is how intelligent the mind is, this is how the mind can discern. If somebody's saying Adrian, but they mean a different Adrian, even if I am somehow standing closer to them, and the Adrian that they are referring to is standing further from them, chances are, not always, but chances are more likely than not, that it will not attract my attention, but it will attract the right Adrian's attention. That is how powerful the mind is. And the mind has, it has something called, now this is quite a deep sort of topic to go into, but it's got something called like a salience network that sort of activates, they call it the bloodhound of your, of your psyche almost. So what this is referring to is that the mind is always listening. That is it. With regression hypnosis, you are telling the mind what you'd like it to focus on and what you'd like it to ignore. Because with something like 10 million impressions being given to your senses every second, and your mind can only deal with so much of it. That is why the mind goes on what it foundationally believes. So when you give it a different belief, it says like, oh, no, this isn't working for me. That is working for me. So by changing the subconscious belief of who you are, you literally tell the mind, this is what I want you to focus in on. It is like a magnet that becomes very specific. So you have all these different metals falling down, and when the right one goes on, the mind goes like, oops. You know, there are always opportunities around us. We're not just always consciously aware of it. So when you change your internal programming, your vibrational focus, your zooming in, then the mind starts to discard different things and it starts to focus in on other things. And this is why your life changes. We don't really create opportunities. We just align with different opportunities that are already available to us. And I promise you, it's really not that hard. All right. And for example, a lot of times when people have, let's say, you don't remember from, say, maybe 6 years and younger in your life, something happened that your brain is trying to protect you against. Now, maybe a profound member of your family passed. You weren't sure what was happening. It was fear. So your mind is trying to protect you against that fear. The problem is, because it believes that it has to protect you against it, anything in life that seems threatening, absolutely anything, is being discarded as bad. And that is often where the problems come in. So when you can change the internal dialogue, then you change the external experience of life. Because what you think about deeply in your subconscious, what you think about is what you bring about. Okay? That is really what makes hypnosis so powerful and so effective. And that's pretty much the long and short of how it works. Even though it's a very long and deep conversation, that is pretty much how it works, you know? And it's, for example, the power of the mind can be utilized to your benefit or to your detriment. So let's say, for example, somebody has got financial problems. You can manifest lots and lots of money and the big house and the car and the family and the picket fence and the whatever, and then still feel completely unfulfilled. Because the same little voice in your head that says, you're not worthy of good things, that voice is still there. You know, and a lot of people have the experience that sometimes when they get all the materialistic gain that they want, that it actually leads to more fear and not less fear. Because now it's amplified, because now your mind says, oh, you're going to lose these things, you know. But when you work on your sense of worth and value, and you work with eradicating the fear in a healthy way first, and this is why I love this more sort of like 3 sessions as opposed to one longer session, you know, if you're really dealing with a lot of deep fear, okay, and deep trauma, because then you gently release things. Nobody overwhelms the mind. So when you then work at, releasing the fear by understanding where the fear is coming from, where the anxiety is coming from, where the overwhelm is coming from, why you have the physical disease, because any fear-filled idea left within the psyche long enough is eventually going to manifest as a disease. It just is what it is. So when you understand for why you're having the challenge, why you have the fear, why it is that you are afraid of maybe, let's say you meet this person, that's your dream person, but you're simultaneously terrified of what if it doesn't work out, and what if this and this happens. Where is it coming from? At which point did that inception of that idea enter your mind, your psyche, your being, your subconscious mind? And then communicating to the mind, we can let this go. It's safe to let this go. Let's replace it with something that is more to your beneficial experience of life. That is where the magic comes in. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, you want to book a session, then all the details are down below in the description for how to reach out to me, how to contact me, and I will be more than divinely honored to support your growth and your highest good in your experience of life. Thank you for listening. If you haven't yet subscribed, I would very much appreciate you subscribing. I really, I'm very open to comments, to likes. All right. Just if you do comment, let's please be kind about comments. Too often I see things like, well, they don't know what they're doing again, and my sort of session is, my practice is superior to their practice. It is about helping each other grow together. Everybody has something very beautiful and beneficial to bring to the table. So it's about helping each other grow together. There's more than enough sunlight for everyone. Okay? And thank you for listening. I look forward to connecting with you on the next video.